Hey guys, what's up? It's CJ. I recently got a message asking me the difference between trans and genderqueer, and I thought that was a really interesting question, so I thought I'd make a video in response. So, this is my 2 cents on the conversation. I think there's a lot of debate on this topic. There certainly is within my friend group, so I'm just talking about my opinions and my interpretation of those terms. The short answer to the question is the difference between trans and genderqueer really depends on who you ask. Some people, when they say trans, they are referring to trans men and trans women. And trans men are people who are assigned female at birth but identify as male and transition into living as a man. And a trans woman is kind of the mirror image of that. Transition doesn't necessarily mean that they undergo any sort of medical treatment at all. It just means that they move into living their life as a female or as a male. But then there's trans, which is kind of an umbrella term for a whole lot of identities. Trans men, trans women, two-spirited people. Genderqueer would fall under that umbrella, in my opinion. You know, gender non-conforming, neutral. So there's a whole lot of identities that fall under the trans umbrella. So in that sense, I don't necessarily think that trans and genderqueer are mutually exclusive or even different things. The genderqueer identity, to me, means identifying outside of the gender binary. To me, the queer part of the word is a very important part, because queer is a very fundamental part of my identity. I pride myself in queering the system and not conforming to cis-normative gender roles or sexual roles or social roles. So to me, queer is a very, very important part of the terminology, and that's why I really embrace the genderqueer identity. I don't think any identities are mutually exclusive. I don't think that just because you're a trans man means you can't be genderqueer as well. And I certainly don't think that anyone needs to have one or two or any number of identities. You know, and it can change from day to day. I might not fall under the trans identity in some people's understanding because I don't identify as male. I do sometimes, in some situations, identify as a woman. Really, my identity is very fluid and depends a lot on context. I like to identify as whatever feels most queering of the situation and makes people scratch their heads and maybe question their beliefs a little bit. So sometimes I do identify as a woman. I definitely identify as butch very strongly. That's my primary identity, is butch. It's a politic and a history and a life that just resonates so deeply with me. I feel like I have such a sense of commonality and family with my butch brothers and sisters. And so that's my primary identity, but I also identify as genderqueer. I also identify as trans, though not as a trans man or trans woman, as gay, as queer, as a dyke, as a boy. Occasionally when people are expecting me to butch up and really fit the very masculine gender role, then I find my identity shifts more towards a faggy fairy butch. I know that faggy is an offensive word to some people, and I'm definitely open to the debate about the power of reclaiming words and whether or not that should be used in the community, but I'm not open to debate about what my identity is, and that is a part of my identity, and I do believe in the power of reclaiming words. It's definitely an ongoing journey and an ongoing exploration, and I add new things to my list. Yeah, seems like weekly, and I intend to continue to do that for the rest of my life. So in the end, I think identities are awesome for self-expression. They're an awesome way of finding community and like-minded people. They're awesome for so many reasons. I love and embrace all of my gender identities, but the important thing to know is that your identity is yours, and whatever you choose to call yourself can mean whatever you want it to mean to you, and no one has a right to police your gender or tell you who or what you are, or especially who or what you aren't.